Hey buddy, today I wanted to talk about Nerf blasters, one of my favorite subjects, specifically pistols, which are my favorite type of Nerf blasters. So the problem with a lot of Nerf blasters that you figured out as a young age is size didn't matter. You're running around with a giant rifle, it doesn't shoot any better, farther, faster, anything than a small pistol. It's just a lot more money, it's a lot more weight, and a lot more cumbersome size. So all really mattered was the size of the air chamber and the spring, and Nerf was pretty consistent for the most part about regulating all the Nerf blasters around 60 FPS. So you get a pistol, you can have multiple in your hand, you multiple in a pocket, you can run around. They have a really cool aesthetic that I've always enjoyed, and they're cheap and they're light. So out of pistols, the best kind are obviously hammer pistols. That instead of having like a top prime you're pulling back on, which is an awkward, weird way to hold a pistol, like that's not what you do with a pistol, or like the little pull back on the back that you had, again, awkward and weird. I didn't like those. This has a hammer you can pull back, like a normal pistol, and you can do it one-handed, as I just did. So this was the Nerf Hammer Shot. This was one of the first to do a hammer pistol, that you have the spring here in the grip, and then you have a front-loaded cylinder here. Originally they had a 5-shot cylinder. I modded this to be a 6-shot cylinder, metal hammer, metal trigger, beefier spring, and I weighted the grip to get it sit farther back in your hand a little bit better. And I painted it, so it's not orange and blue and weird. So everything looks better when it's not bright orange. So, except for the tips. Tips should be orange for safety. And this is the Hammer Shot. This is one of my favorite blasters around. If you have 2 of them, which I do, you can run around. You can fire both at the same time, fire different directions, do some boondock saints. You can cross draw, cross aim, reload both at the, reprime both at the same time. They're fantastic. That dart is warped. See that spiral it did? Okay. So right now there's not a one in it, so you can actually deprime, rotate, which I like, that you can deprime it without firing. You can't do that with all blasters. You can manually rotate the cylinder. Blasters are great, pistols are great. As you're running around, you pick up darts off the ground. You can front load them just as you go, as your enemies are firing ammo at you, which you really can't do very well with magazines. Like once you run out of your equipped magazines and clips, you kind of have to pause and reload and regroup. So this is kind of nice. You can always just fire one at a time. That's what you're picking up. So this was the Hammer Shot, and it was wildly popular. Nothing was really in its league for a long time. They did a couple reskins that weren't as good. Like this has a great, like Wild West, gunslinger aesthetic to it. Then they did the Trailblazer. So this actually came out a couple years ago. Hammer Shot was about like 10 or more. This was about 2 years ago they came out with this. This is a 8-shot, again, hammer. Oh, that was a terrible shot. Okay, the first one didn't even make it to the box. Okay. This is fine. The grip's a little small. Like, I get it. It's a toy. Like, I have giant man hands. It is a higher capacity, which is great. It is huge. Like, it has a cool look to it. Like, I can't wait to paint this thing. I do want to try to find metal parts to upgrade it, beef up the spring, get some better performance out of it. But for the most part, like, it's just front loading, like, right? This is a giant aperture. This is not doing any kind of rifling or any kind of compression tube or anything like that. So it is a lot longer than it needs to be. It is a lot fatter because you're, again, having 8 shots in this. It's perfectly fine toy blaster. My goal is, again, to modify, get a little bit better performance out of it, color it up a little bit better, make it look a little nicer, and hopefully, hopefully do better. Metal parts, farther range, faster shooting. I don't think I can get any more capacity out of it. It's pretty dense there. But a lot of room. That was the nice thing. You have a lot of room to front load. That is fine. So, the reason we're here today is to talk about the Dart Zone Outlaw. So right off the bat, love the box. That you can open it up and you see exactly what you're getting. The size of scale, you don't have to worry about if they zoomed in the picture, zoomed in, zoomed out, have a weird angle. You can see exactly what's in it, see texture, colors, get the feel of it. I hate unboxing videos because they take forever and they're really boring. So I got a second one. I already opened it for you. Here we go. So I will tell you, spoiler, I love this pistol so much. It has everything I've been trying to do with my own mods and Nerf blasters. Right out of the box, commercially, it's not that expensive, off the shelf. So Dart Zone's been doing this. The mod community for years has been, making their own designs and 3D printing blasters and modding and upgrading blasters to get like 120 FPS or higher, to increase your capacity and performance and all that stuff. And Dart Zone a couple years ago started coming out with off the shelf, like again, Nerf was aiming for kids, 60 FPS save. The adult line would get to like 80 of the big kid line, never an adult line. So they had this pistol. This is the Mark II, the Dart Zone Pro Mark II, which is a rocket of a pistol. You got to climb it on the top, which I don't really appreciate. So you need to have two hands for one blaster. But again, it is shooting these little half darts that the mod community started doing. They started just taking their normal Nerf darts, sawing them in half, and you have a lot less weight. So with less weight and the same internals, you're going to get a lot better performance. You're going to have a lot less drag. It doesn't really add very much stability to have a long dart. So you're getting a lot better accuracy, speed, and velocity just by cutting it in half. And not when you're doing a mod, but when you're designing a blaster from scratch that way, you can make it a lot more compact, that your barrels can be half the length. You can have a lot better size, weight, make things just a little more compact and efficient. Your clips, your magazines, everything. So that's where everything's been moving, is half darts. And so to have a commercial blaster you can buy that use half darts is fantastic. This is a 6-round chamber. So that's the other cool thing. They made this thing removable. So that's the only kind of downside of using a revolver, that once your cylinder runs out, you're front loading and you got to reload it on the go. So they made these interchangeable chambers. They give you 2 in box. I believe you can buy more from their website. And I know for a fact a lot of the mod community sites online are selling 3D printed version of these as well. So you can have multiples. You can have a whole bandolier of them and just keep plugging in 6 shots at a time. Pretty fast and easy. And they put a nice groove here in the front so you can still front load as you go if you want to add shots. So if you look really closely, there is a metal cylinder in here that's aluminum. That's another thing the mod community started doing, and then commercially, that you're actually getting a pressure seal. So unlike what Nerf did for years, the barrel size is starting to matter again. There also are, they're starting to do rifling, that you can actually do a SCAR add, not to a pistol, but for rifles, there's a SCAR, they call it a SCAR, you put on the end that will have ball bearings or string that introduce spin to actually add rifling to the little dart to make it fly and perform better, which is amazing. So you have an aluminum barrel, better stability, better seal. There we go. The cool thing is when you pull the trigger, I have the safety on. Yeah, there we go. Ooh, not good. I dry fired it. Oops. So the metal barrel actually extends to get a pressure seal with your cylinder right around the dart. So you're not losing any air pressure. It gets a nice air seal right there. We're good. That was a rocket right in the middle. Okay. So you have a metal hammer. My only complaint, very minor, as a plastic trigger. I get it. Less weight, less cost. If I changed anything about it, I just like all metal parts. But you do have a metal cylinder. You do have a metal hammer, metal barrel, sorry. So here's another cool thing. Sometimes when you're front loading or when you fire and deprime, you might miss a shot. Like you might have an empty round in your chamber. So if you roll, now that you've cocked the hammer, it goes back into its up position. Every time you rotate the hammer now, it actually rotates your cylinder, which the hammer shot does not. It deprimes down. So it's nice if you want to deprime it, but when it's cocked and loaded, you can visually tell. And that's probably part of the problem why I just dry fired it, to be honest. So a little bit of a, it's my own fault. But it goes back in the up position. So you do have a visual indicator. I do love that I can rotate the chamber of like, oh, missing a shot. It's really nice to be able to do that feature because I have that issue all the time where I don't load consistently, or you have to advance or you have a misfire, and you can now you have empty rounds in your cylinder. So that's just a really cool feature. And honestly, the reason why I re-recorded this video because I forgot that the first time I did this. Well, last time I did this. And I wanted to re-show you that really cool bit. Like that. Fantastic. Fantastic performance, accurate, shoots like a rocket. It is a very slim blaster. I really like they have no wasted space or bulk. That's going to fit really well into a holster or side pocket. You don't have any extra unnecessary length. The length that you have is helping with your stability and aim with that actual metal barrel in there. Like compared to this behemoth, again, you're having less shots. You have 2 less shots, but they really make up for that with the replaceable cylinders. So it is a more comfortable grip. This grip is a little small for me. Again, child's toy. This, just an extra ½ inch, whatever they do. They have the finger grooves. Super comfortable for my giant man hands. Great performance, one-handed fire, replaceable cylinders, half darts. This is everything I wanted to do in a mod blaster. This is everything I was planning to do with the hammer shot. I had a second pair of these I was going to make and mod up to be half dart compatible, and they're doing this for me right out of the gate. So thank you, Dart Zone, for making blasters for big kids that still enjoy them. And thanks for watching, buddy. Hope you enjoyed.